Everything we know, from people and ants to stars and galaxies to quarks and atoms, the entire universe, might just be a simulation running inside a supercomputer inside an even bigger universe. Ancient philosophers said that the universe is a dream that we're waiting to wake up from. In this dream world of the imagination, anything is possible. All cultural items, from the dreams of our rodent-like ancestors, to books, to television shows, are merely permutations of the reality we think we live in. Today's age of computers and video games places simulations at the center of our cultural consciousness. A select group of us perform simulations for fun and profit, and we call them games, role-playing and otherwise. We live to run simulations. Join us on the Simulationist Podcast as we explore our culture of simulations.
Welcome back to the Simulationist Podcast. My name is Josh Treleaven. With me, as always, on the other microphone,
same as the last 99 iterations, I am Ryan Kirkby.
Yes, indeed. Hello, Ryan. Welcome to the 100th iteration of this podcast. Who would have thunk that a podcast that takes no money to produce, well, a little bit of money, but virtually no money to produce would last 100 episodes.
Wow, but here's the thing. It's not just the money to produce these sorts of things. It takes an hour and a half of time.
That's true.
Times by 100 iterations.
I guess that means we must enjoy what we're doing.
We could just be masochists.
Yes.
What if we secretly hate it? I hate doing this every week. But I love hating things. So, it gives me something to hate.
Okay. Recording on the 3rd of August, 2014.
So, yes, let's see, I guess that means less than 2 weeks before the 5th edition Player's Handbook comes out.
All right.
2 days after the maybe world-shaking Guardians of the Galaxy movie has come out.
I hear good things.
I've heard good things. They've really hyped it a whole lot. Advertisements everywhere. I haven't gotten a chance to see it yet, because I'm a parent for a very young child, and I'm not going to take a very young child with a short attention span to the movie theater.
Some people do. Some people complain about it. Personally, I don't mind too much, but
I don't want to be that parent. I have shouted out to that kind of parent before to get their kid out of there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you were there for that. One of those.
I may have been, yeah, in our Prince George, in our university days.
Yes. If you're the person for that, you still can't get me on it. Doesn't matter how many ushers you have come looking. You shouldn't have had a crying kid in the movie theater. I'm sorry.
Okay,
the price of parenthood, buddy.
No, as always, I'm going to be a little more lenient and say, But I can understand where, it's probably not a good idea to bring a young child to the movies.
Well, I mean, that's the perils of parenthood. You can't do everything you used to do when it was just like you, or just you and the little lady, or you and the little guy, in case you're a lady listening to this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, life changes. You can't keep doing the same thing all the time. You got responsibilities. You got to take care of that crown child.
Responsibilities. Bleh.
No, trust me, it's awesome. Kids are generally awesome, except when they're sick or tired. Or dirty.
Or like half the time. No. I'm sure you do lots of stuff as a parent. Personally, I'm not a parent, so...
not yet.
Yeah, not yet. I mean, I'm young still, so, yeah.
Or at least so you keep saying to yourself, tick, tick, buddy, tick, tick.
Oh, is that what this podcast is going to be? How about, did we mention D&D 5 is coming out?
Yeah. I will give some happy news. The version 5 of the Dwarf Fortress has been out for a week, so that means there must be very few game-crashing, game-busting bugs in there. Mm-hmm. So those of you who have been waiting for things to settle down, make sure you've got a good, stable platform. Because there have been some rather nasty errors in previous versions. I remember one where if you hit the one button to inspect like whatever's on the ground, like, oh, what is this? Red number 2. What dead creature part is that? What's this over here? You push that one button, the entire game crashes.
Oh yes.
That one got patched pretty darn quick because it was a completely game-breaking bug. It was like, push this button to destroy the game.
Huh.
Which, maybe they'll have something like that in the finished version down the road. But right now, it's not necessarily essential.
As long as the bug is, as long as the button is clearly labeled, if you click this or if you press this key combination, your game will crash. Then it's probably not.
Then it's
desirable.
a feature, not a bug. There you go. But so if those of you who have wanted to get into Dwarf Fortress and said, well, should I not? Now's a good time. A lot of good stuff, updated in with that. So if and when you start up and you go, oh my God, why did all my dwarves die? You can post your question up in the forums, and there's a lot of activity going on right now, and it's like a hive of bees all buzzing around there.
That's good.
And you're much more likely to get an answer within the first 5 minutes of putting up your post, as opposed to maybe having to wait an hour or two. So it's a good time to start up as in.
Yeah.
So I believe that's the big gaming news this week. I think.
Yeah, I don't know. Personally, I don't know anything more, but I'm sure there's other stuff.
There's always something going on. But that's the big stuff in our radars.
Yeah, well, this is not necessarily a news podcast, but...
There's breaking news. Game breaking news.
There
you go. What have you been doing this week, Josh?
What have I been up to? I went to Vancouver in the last 2 days.
On purpose? I mean, you purposefully took the ferry?
I did, yeah. My cousin got married in Maple Ridge.
Wow, that's a pretty good
Lower
excuse.
Mainland. So I took the ferry 2 nights ago now. Like the last ferry over, so it's very dark, and taking the bus and all the way to downtown Vancouver. And what does this have to do with simulations? I don't know. I'm just telling you what I did in my life.
Here's the thing: is the ferry is a nice ride, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But if you ever get the chance to go at night and the doors are open because the weather's okay, go out and look at the night sky, look at the night sea as you're going about there.
Yeah.
If you want to write a really compelling scene for like a pirate novel you've got going on or anything like that involving the night sky and the sea, go out there on the ferry. You'll get a superb view. You don't have to worry about crashing. They already got someone else piloting the vessel, so you got hands free. And then just take everything in, everything that you can, all the senses, because it's so dark. Your senses do get heightened up from the whole thing.
Yeah,
and so make sure just everything, every sense that's coming in, remember it, record it, consciously feel all this stuff. Will really help you out for your writings.
Yeah, well, I didn't think to do that.
I guess you got to go on the ferry again.
I'm gonna have to go back on there. I just sat in one of the lounges and wrote more on, worked on the pilot for the Dwarf Trek.
Well, that's pretty nice too.
There's
something to be said about getting yourself out of your comfort area.
Yeah, a new
writing,
place
and then
to write. Yeah,
getting rid of the distractions.
Yeah, well, there's definitely plenty of distractions on the boat, but it's different. It's a different style. There's no computer that says play Minecraft.
There's nothing. Well, maybe I'll see what's going on Facebook right now.
Go to Reddit. What's Reddit? Has Reddit posted anything new in the last 5 minutes?
Exactly. You get yourself out of those situations. That's why you have the scene of the people, the poets and the writers going to places like Starbucks, getting the coffee and sitting down there just so they can type or write or however they decide to go about it.
Yeah.
They're removing themselves from their personal home distractions. So that's a pretty good way of going about it. That said, you probably could have gotten a lot of coffee for the price of a ferry ticket.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to find, actually, maybe I could work in the public library, because I'm thinking of places that I could, alternative sort of workspaces, alternative to home, because I do a lot of stuff at home and, at my own computer, which is fine, and I like it because I have access to resources and my internet if I need to look something up. But I also think that it's nice to have those places. But I don't like coffee shops because either you have to keep buying things or it's not the ideal. But I think the library could probably work.
The library also has a nice professional sort of attitude to it. I mean, there's books there, but it's people come in, people go out, people are doing things here. Mm-hmm. So you sit yourself down and say, I'm going to really type here. I'm not going to have these distractions get me.
Yeah. My trip to Vancouver, I stayed downtown. They had I don't know what was going on. I think it's between Pride Weeks or there's one Pride Week and then another Pride Week after, something like that. I don't know. It might be Pride Week this week. downtown Vancouver. So it was very...
Well, it is the August long weekend as we're recording this, so it could just be, hey, civic, holiday, parade.
And they're having fireworks like every night or something like that, so...
why not?
Yeah, I went down. It was very happening downtown Vancouver. It was very
but not
exciting.
Rioting happening, as has been known to happen.
Well, no. Although at points it was like I was actually kind of wondering to myself, I wonder if a riot would happen, because it could. It felt like that. I don't know if there's like how to describe it. There's a feeling in the air of it's just teetering on the edge of we're having a fun party.
All you have to do is get the right charismatic person to yell out, mess up everything.
Yeah. But to me, I mean, well, I'm not, what do you call it? I'm not, like, conditioned to kind of the streets and stuff like that. I mean, it doesn't really bother me, but also I'm not that attuned to it. So, but I just say it felt to me like a riot could break out. And I was like, what should I do? But the thing about a riot...
Video record everything. Back yourself up into a corner.
Well, I don't think a riot would be too hard to avoid if I wanted to. Like I think the people who get involved in those riots, I think you don't get involved by accident. I mean, that might be...
it could be that you weren't planning to go somewhere and riot. But it was like, well, you were caught up in the momentum of it, and so you rioted before giving it conscious second, sober thought.
I do hear stories about how police, like, it's part of what their maneuvers, they kind of herd people. So there is a way that police kind of, like, contain large groups of people into, like, an area, and that starts a riot.
But shouldn't there just be, like, a thing, like, you walk towards the cops, both hands, like, outstretched? Not up, like, I surrender, but, like, outstretched, like a Y sort of thing to indicate... I do not want to be a part of this. Please remove me from the situation. Shouldn't there be a thing for that? It's like, please help me. I am in need of assistance, officer. That's your first job, is to help the people in need, right?
I don't know if that would keep you safe. Personally, what I would do is, and this is probably bad advice. I have no idea what you're supposed to do.
Well, that's the thing, is neither of us do, and that seems like suddenly it's like, you catch yourself in a bad situation. What are you supposed to do? No one prepped us on this. How to get out of a riot.
Yeah, I think I would approach a cop kind of as if casually, because technically it's the street of Vancouver. You're allowed to be there. Like,
I'm
you're
just thinking,
a citizen.
Okay, what kind of cop are you thinking about? Like an average cop, or because the cops I'm thinking of where they're herding everyone together. These are the cops in the riot gear with the shield, and the helmet and the baton. I
would move the other way if I saw that kind of police. I move the other way. If I have to back away, I will, but I'm not approaching them. But if it's just a regular, like, a guy in a uniform.
Could you pretend to be injured and try and find your way to an ambulance?
Well, I mean...
Oh, no, ow, my head. I think someone bumped me on the head. Please take me to, the not riot location.
I did, like, when I was there the night before last, there were police and ambulances every couple of blocks. I guess... There was just
people are partying so hard they need like cops to make sure things are staying peaceful, and the ambulance to keep people from dehydrated, falling unconscious.
I'm not sure exactly what the ambulances do. I think they may have been answering a call on every block. Like, it might just be that's how frequently people get hurt on a night like that. But yeah.
Well, wait. Which way were they aiming all the fireworks? Was it actually up, or were they just like?
Just random places in the city. I didn't see the fireworks myself. I just heard about them.
In that case, maybe they were shooting them off at each other down the block.
Could have been, yeah, I suppose. There's plenty of opportunities.
I got a Roman candle in my eye.
To get injured on a street in a major American city in a downtown area in the middle of the night. So,
mind
fireworks is just one more.
And while Vancouver is not an American city, it is so heavily Americanized. Like Vancouver and Toronto.
It's kind of that American culture, like it's a big city.
It is sitting right on the border. There's some cultural spillover. So while we say in like the average American major city, that also applies to Vancouver and Toronto just because of circumstances and location.
Yeah, and when I say American too, like it's
North American.
Vancouver and Victoria is like this too. We're very diverse. We have like people of all languages. You hear Farsi, you hear Chinese, you hear...
it's Mandarin, not Chinese.
So, some Mandarin, you hear...
Cantonese, a few versions of Hindu, I've heard.
Yeah, you'll hear Arabic, you'll hear... I don't know.
Languages you never heard
all the
of.
languages I know the names of.
Chances are, if you pay really close attention and you go towards the nerdier end of things, you might just hear a little Klingon. You got to keep your ear out, but you might hear it.
I suppose, yeah. I want to go to VCon one of these years.
That would be nice. That would be nice.
We always talk about GodaCon because that's in Victoria, but it'd be cool to just...
Well, it's also a nice con to go to. I think everyone should like it.
Yeah, sure.
It's not too big. You don't get lost in there.
But yeah, imagine, like, I've never been to Comic-Con in San Diego, but I imagine that would be like 10 times more chaotic and crazy.
But here's the downside. 10 times as much BO.
Yeah. Yeah.
So unless they're shooting out, like Axe body spray bombs, just carpet bombing the masses there is a downside to the bigger cons. I wonder how that would wind up going down. Like, just, okay, we're just bombing the place, carpet bombing with, deodorants.
Yeah, I don't know. And it's summer too, so yeah, it gets pretty hot and sweaty.
There is no amount of AC that can counteract enough people close enough together. I'm sorry, it hasn't been created yet.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, as I say, like crying babies don't really bother me. Smelly people don't really bother me. I know that it's not the best conducive atmosphere, so I am against BO.
Well, see, here's the weird thing: is I'll say this. I'll say it out loud here. There's a difference between, like the gaming BO that you wind up encountering at some places and the average BO you encounter. Like, there are places, times at work, person will come in, they've just spent the last half hour walking out in the hot sun. It's getting almost just under 30 degrees here these days. Even more so if you're in direct sunlight. And these people have a body odor. Is it offensive? Not really. I mean, it's a little musky, but I mean, it smells like a human.
Yeah.
Have you ever smelled like a cougar or another actual carnivore?
Oh, I think I have, yeah.
It smells kind of like blood, sweat, and blood, sweat, and tears, I suppose is a nice way to describe it.
Uh-huh.
And it's very, very much like that. With people, it's you back off on the like the smell of meat coming out of the pores sort of thing, and you tone down the sweat a little bit, and that's kind of where we are. We're like Predator light sort of scent. So if you're okay with that, it's not bad. But there have been times, in gaming situations, or then go into the friendly neighborhood gaming store. There's the occasional person who comes in, and that's not regular BO that they've got going on there.
Yeah.
So I don't know what causes that. Don't know how. But you go to the gaming convention, and that person, even if it's like 1% of the population, you get like a 10,000 person convention. Well, that's a lot of people with nasty BO. So.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's a fact of life, so we're here to educate, I guess.
See, and this is what makes me I wonder if I should have gone into like the more corporate sciences, because I would love to sign up with Axe deodorant, body spray, or anyone, just anybody that does we try and get rid of your body scents, and just use one of them chem sniffers to track down like this 1% guy and say, hey, you qualify for the special stuff here. We got to do is we want to do some tests for you. We'll pay for some of your convention swag. You got to come to the private booth here, and we're going to do some tests. I want to find a way to track down and figure out and eliminate potentially this infamous gamer BO. That is something that I could really get behind for a career.
I guess it's not without precedent because, stores like the Bay or department stores, they have a scent department, and they'll offer to give you sample a spray of perfume on you as you go by. Yeah. Sometimes they don't even ask before they've already sprayed it on you. Yeah. As is the stand-up comedian thing. You could have those same people set up a booth at Comic-Con and just spray people as they go by. That's a thing, but I would like to know does this properly equivalent out to a specific substrain of bodily bacteria as they go about? Is it something in a diet sort of thing? Does Pocky cause horrible gamer BO? Is that the secret cause? I don't know. I would love to trace these down. It's okay, you just have to tell us what you've been eating in the last 48 hours. And we'll do a couple swab samples and then spray up with the nice fresh stuff. And here's a little sticker. He's like my smell, just put on the back of your shoulder. But you like my smell? Like how I smell? Well, you spray them down with whatever, commercial product you're advertising, you spray down the gamer sort of thing. You like my smell? It's this one, booth whatever.
And then, bam, that's how you get people coming in. It's like, hey, yeah, I noticed that. I got a really nice scent. It wasn't too overpowered. It was nice and mature. And bam, you get some weird extra sales, like people are buying gamer swag. Oh, yeah, and scented body soaps.
Yeah. Well, there are people at conventions who set up booths and tables and stuff who will sell things like soaps for gamers. There's one with, have you seen those?
Do they have the soap shaped like a 20-sider?
They have, well, the ones I've seen, they might, but the ones I've seen are soaps with 20-siders on the inside. So as you use the soap, you get closer, like, oh, I can almost get it.
Well, I hate having to throw the sliver of soap at the end. So finding, something to use at the end to really make it worth my while to have that little bit left over, I think that'd be worth it.
And I
pay attention, Irish Spring people. You could be learning something here.
I feel like we should actually plug it and give a website, but I can't. I think it's just called Gamer Soaps or something like that. So you're just going to have to look it up. Yeah. I might put something in the show notes, but I might forget. So Google up Gamer Soaps. Hey, it's a good gift idea for
your gaming friend in your life.
Yeah.
But you might have to say, it's like, not that I think you stink, but there's a prize inside. Just so they don't take offense, right?
Yeah, I don't know. If somebody smells bad, it might be worth it. Like, this is something that happens, like, people are like, oh, I don't want to hurt their feelings. It might be worth a little bit of hurt feelings because there's a solution. That's the thing. As long as there's I hate, like, when people make fun of, I don't know, what's a good example? Like, you're fat or you're ugly or something like that. Well, you can't really do much about being fat or ugly, or, I mean,
you can change how you smell, though.
Over the long term, I suppose you could, work diet or.
But it's not something you can just give a person for a present.
Yeah, but if you stink, it's like, oh well, instant, easy, obvious solution. Unless there's like a glandular. I have a glandular problem.
Okay. Here's a concept for you. What if you get like cross promotional stuff? What if you get like Star Trek soap?
I bet it exists. I bet somebody has done that. I bet you.
Smelling like a Klingon isn't logical. Trek soap.
Yeah, I bet that has to exist. Someone has to have invented Star Trek soap.
It'd be like one of those small soaps, like what you get at when you're at the hotel rooms. Except it'd be shaped like the insignia for the Federation.
Oh yeah, like the little badge.
Yeah, little Federation badge soap to get yourself. And you can have all sorts of fun, groovy, stuff, properly named scents to it. Like instead of what does it have? It'd be like a Glacier Fresh, scent for regular soap. No, this would be like. Let's go with like a Cardassian, Arctic.
Ooh.
Yeah. Don't you want to have the Cardassian Arctic soap for your Trek soap?
Maybe.
They got like the Vreen or something. Apparently their entire homeworld's completely frozen over, so they say that mark that instead of the Arctic one. Just change the name of the stuff.
Yeah, which episode had the prison planet where Kirk and Spock?
That was one of the movies.
The ice prison planet.
I think it was
Star Trek 6, right?
I think so. Yeah.
No, well, Hoth is Star Wars.
Do some really gamer enraging cross bad promotions, right?
I think Star Trek 6: The Undiscovered Country had like an ice planet.
I think that's right.
It was a Klingon prison, or maybe somebody else's prison, but
someone's prison.
Yeah, I can't remember.
or it's apparently you go instead of sandalwood smell, it's just like Vulcan Plateau. How's that sound?
Vulcan Plateau.
Yeah. Don't
sounds a little spicy.
Don't you suddenly? You just like a little bit of like a nice little scent on there. That would sell. That would sell so well, man. I gotta get into this. I gotta find an inroad into this stuff, man. I gotta sell commercial ideas.
Yeah, I was thinking too, like in terms of life design following sort of game design. Uh-huh. The way I got to all the places I went to was a series of buses and ferries and trains. SkyTrain. Oh, I love trains. Trains are so good.
When they're working, the SkyTrain's had a couple of problems in the last week and a half.
That's true. Well, I had one of the cars I was on actually did break down, but it was it was like the announcer voice comes on. It's like, oh, this train is going to be out of service. Please step off. It was
step off, yo.
No, well, whatever they said. Please exit the train. So I get off, and the train at one of the stations. It wasn't like stopped between stations or anything like that. So
no pilgrimage sort of thing you have to make midway between.
Yeah, although that would be fine probably. But anyways, all the people get off, they move the train away, and then another one comes 5 minutes, and it's like barely even a hiccup.
I must say, I was always impressed at seeing like, oh yeah, 5 minutes later there'll be another one here for you.
Yeah. So I was thinking like, I won't go into specifics, but I did see at all these transition points, I did see little places where the flow of traffic is obviously designed, like somebody put some thought into, okay, how do we get from here to here? And there are also places where later on they have to insert, like it used to be people didn't really take too much bicycles on the ferry, like there would be one or two every once in a while, but it's become more and more of a thing. So they have sort of a bicycle holding area, but it's not really complete, and it doesn't have all the signage that's necessary. So it's in the process of being designed, I guess.
Which is a shame, because I saw or listened to a thing on the radio, CBC radio, where they're like a family that does that. Their 5-year-old kids go over on the ferry and all that, and they use the bikes and all that.
Yeah, and you can definitely do it, but there's all these little areas where it's like, oh, well, this could be improved if people. So there's all like, it reminds me of game design, this whole flow design, like traffic design, like.
In 3rd edition. They never expected the concept of prestige classes to be as hugely popular as they wound up being. And so things got a little lopsided there just because they didn't plan out, like, oh, is this going to be big? Do we have expansion plans to make this work? Or is everyone still content with being a 20th level wizard? Or are they going to say, no, man, don't take more than 10 levels wizard. You got to go into a nice prestige class. So I can understand why they've switched things about for more of archetypes in 5th edition. But yeah, I see that as being the same sort of thing. It's just like, is this rule going to be big? Like how? Like if this becomes like a pivotal thing, like and it becomes like the thing you got to do in every fight, like is this going to unbalance things? Is it going to check out? Is this going to going to be easy? Going to flow right?
It occurs to me that what should have happened. I think they did this in 4th edition actually, but they just didn't. They just called it leveling up. They didn't. But what should probably have happened is you should have a base class for your entire existence, and then prestige classes should be done in the Gestalt manner. So basically, kind of everybody takes a prestige class. But then I guess there's the problem of, what if I don't want a prestige class? Well, then I guess we have to create a default wizard.
I'm just gonna be a double wizard.
Although you probably don't need to take that. Like if there was a Gestalt prestige class option available. You technically probably, because Gestalt is not that much more powerful.
It's about time and a half. It's not double power.
Yeah, because you still only get one hit die. You might get a bigger hit
one
die.
Action per turn.
Yeah, you still only get one action. You still only get one set of skills. You have access to more variety of skills, but you still have the larger of the two skill points.
You get the better base for pool size.
So that would be a way to do it. I don't know what they're doing in 5th edition if they have prestige classes.
It looks more like they're going to focus into proper archetypes. Come 3rd level, you get to figure out what kind of wizard you're going to be. Okay. Like you don't start off as like a necromancer. You spend 2 levels just being a regular wizard and go, no, archetype necromancer, that is the way to me. It's like, no, you know what? It's really not working with how my character's flowing. I guess maybe I'll just be a chaos mage or something. Geometer. Instead of raising stuff from the ground, I'll just raise the ground up and smack people with that.
I wonder if there's a way to. I want to sort of distill that idea, in that you have some very basic core base classes, and then that can go all the way to 20, and then you have the specialization. So I guess it's called sort of specialization, and because I think that occurs in more games than just D&D.
Well, I've seen it occur even more so in other games. A few ones that work with skill versus power versus spell casting. So before you become a wizard or before you become a cleric, you have to take their general just spell casting prodigy sort of thing. And then after a certain point, you can branch out, like the Final Fantasy Tactics sort of games.
Yeah. And in our, in real life, we don't really have an equivalent to classes the way they do in D&D. Like, we don't have a...
The closest we get to is specializations when it comes to degrees.
Yeah, because in our world, you're sort of if anything, you're defined by, I suppose, your job or your career. Like that's who
which is a
you
little
are.
sad because not everyone has the job or career they want to have, or I suppose maybe sometimes they deserve to have. There have been a few people I've heard of that have a PhD and then wind up, serving shots in a bar because, well, turns out nobody needs that PhD right now.
Yeah, but I guess it's hard to be like a thief, and like, how does that even work in?
Ask the police. It doesn't. Not forever.
Well, yeah, yeah. Being a rogue, I guess, is a bit different because you might work for the police. You might be a CIA agent.
Oh, that's a nice concept
as a
there.
rogue, right?
You'd be like one of those rats they have, prison rats, I suppose.
Wouldn't that be like? That would be the worst. Imagine if you're like an undercover officer and your assignment is to go to jail. Boy,
the pay is good, and I hear the benefits for that sort of thing are great. Like you get like a year off afterwards. But not for everyone. They do some nice proper screening beforehand to make sure you're of the right mindset.
Yeah, I guess so. Oh, and I just read about, completely off topic, but Mark Emery just got done serving his 5 years.
Ah, yes, the king of pot.
The prince of pot. Sure, make him king, why not, at this point.
Oh, I don't suppose he is king anymore because he's Canadian, and Canada's falling behind America in the pot laws, so...
Well, I mean, technically we already have a queen, so...
Okay, we'll call him the Duke.
Well, some people have called him the Prince of Pot, Mark Emery, and he got out, wow, why did I bring that up? I guess I was thinking about...
Because, how is his career did not include a couple levels, in prisoner, did it?
Yeah. Oh, well, actually, it was funny, though, because he was describing his time in prison, and he said everyone was very nice, like the guards, the administrators, the cooks, the other inmates. Everybody was, like, super... I don't know if friendly is the word, but good. Like they all treated him.
They
well.
weren't antagonistic.
Yeah, there was no fighting,
I think that's because most of them understand what a bum rap is, and when someone gets a bum rap, it's like, oh, that's kind of harsh, man.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, you think about like the heroes, like not to compare.
The Prince of Pot is your hero,
like Nelson Mandela or something like that. But in a way, it's like a similar story because they go to jail for something they believe in.
Fighting the power.
But like going to like for him, I don't know what his experience would have been like in jail. But you think like especially like a big shot. Well, I don't know how big he was when he actually went in prison, but like
he thought enough of himself to believe he could get away with mailing marijuana seeds across international borders. So maybe that says something about him.
Yeah. But yeah, people like they know who he is, they know why he's in there, and I guess they don't want to bother him. They kind of look up to him in a way. So,
well, that's the thing is, you watch the Watchmen movie or read the book, preferably the book.
Oh, you're going to bring up what's his name, Rorschach, when he goes to jail?
Not when he goes to jail, but just his general nature. He is a very twisted, very unhealthy man psychologically, and yet he winds up being one of the most beloved, if not the most beloved character in the entire book. Why? Because he has the conviction of his beliefs behind him, and I think everyone, at least some, even if it's against what they believe, respects a person who actually believes what he says.
That's true, and because cognitive dissonance is that gap between what people say and what they do.
Like the politician that's saying, I'm against those homosexuals and all the weird stuff they do, and then he gets caught having a gay love affair with an intern.
Yeah. So hypocrisy is more. I guess because it's difficult for us to comprehend. It's difficult.
It's not difficult to comprehend, especially when it comes to politicians. I mean, you got to preach to your base if you want to get reelected. Otherwise, you're an ex-politician.
I suppose, yeah.
But in this case, with someone like Rorschach, he's a person that believes what he says. What he believes is not necessarily the best belief, but by golly, he actually believes, in what he's saying and what he's doing. Yeah. And so, same with Mark Emery. He believed that what he was doing was right, and so I believe, the prison guards, the cooks, the other inmates, they all at least had that instant, respect for him doing what he believed in, and not just like, I don't believe in selling pot at all, man. I'd sell whatever makes me money. No one respects that guy. No one respects the I'll do anything for a buck sort of, sleazy drug pusher. This is a guy that believes that marijuana should be legal, should be distributed to anyone who wants or needs it on a responsible basis. And that's why people, don't say, dang pothead smoker, mailing pot seeds all over the place. It's like, oh, yeah, okay, I guess it's illegal. He has to go to jail. Oh, fair enough. So that's why I believe he probably had a better time than maybe even the average inmate does.
Yeah, well, I guess, a lot of sort of, should I go down this road? I can
go down the road
if I need to. But the war on drugs thing means that a lot of the people who are in the system in jail are basically just...
They're pawns on the board. It's like taking out a pawn in chess.
They might have done a few, I don't know what they've done bad, but usually they're in there for basically non-violent drug crimes.
They had this illegal substance on them that they were going to use in the privacy of their own home. Yeah. They got pulled over for missing a taillight. The police officer thought things were suspicious, investigate further, jail time.
Yeah, so I imagine...
And then the guy who was sitting in the passenger seat there didn't even know about anything going on. He winds up being charged as an accessory. He had nothing going up for him, and there he goes.
Yeah, that's true. And you hear, I remember in the movies, to talk more about fiction and stuff, they say, well, everybody's innocent in jail. I can't remember.
Haven't you heard? All of us are innocent here. Yeah, there's no one guilty.
Somebody goes to jail and he's like, but I'm innocent. And they say, we're all innocent.
Let's All Go to Prison, starring Dax Shepard, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. I'm innocent. Haven't you heard? We're all innocent here.
Yeah. And, in some ways I'm thinking that's kind of true because a huge proportion of them are in there for in-proportionate...
jail time for the
offense. For what they actually did.
What he was referring to is that a lot of criminals wind up, I'm going to challenge this, verdict and all that, and no criminal is going to, get caught saying, oh, gee, I totally did it, because there's always willing to be someone say, okay, listen, I reduced my prison sentence by a little bit, and I'll say, I can testify. This guy has been claiming for months that he did the crime. So when he's appealing it, I'll testify against him. I get out of prison that much earlier.
Yeah.
So everyone's innocent in prison simply because it's a better legal tactic to always proclaim your innocence. Never say you did it.
Well, except that what the prosecutors will try and do is they'll give you that plea bargain or something like plead guilty to this lesser offense, and we won't try to prove that you did this sort of bigger version of it.
I've always wondered for them, is it are they trying to get the guy going guilty on the lesser offense because it's easier for everyone just to say, okay, yeah, pleads guilty, done, in jail where he should be one way or another, or it's because it's like, well, you know what, if we go through it for the big offense, there's a 95% chance we'll get him anyways, but it'll take so much longer. With the all the appeals going on it, we'll wind up charging this much more to the legal system throughout all these processes. If we can get him on the lesser offense, he goes into jail for 65% of the time, but we wind up saving $1 million in fees. So are they doing it out of economics or out of sound legal strategy? Because I would actually be kind of happy knowing it's either or. It's like, well, it's just going to be too expensive. Let's get him on a lesser plea. Goes into jail for almost the same amount of time. Done.
Well, I couldn't say because I'm not, I don't know. But I suspect it's probably more the economic thing. And it's probably just, they have to keep, I don't know, they're measured on weird, how many convictions they have, which is
I think it's a bad criteria myself.
Yeah, and I don't know how many jurisdictions, if all jurisdictions do that or if they're changing, but because this has been a complaint ever since, the whole 20th century, it was people complained about it. And this is in what's that movie with Robert De Niro?
There's a lot of movies with Robert
De Niro. Yeah, they're basically the prosecutors, all they want to do is get a conviction. They don't care if the guy's guilty, they don't care about justice, they don't care about keeping the streets safe.
I would like to see it instead based on how many of their convictions were wound up being overturned. It would take a little bit longer to get the proper math out there, but it's like, you know what, your conviction rate, it looks great. Unfortunately, 60% of them wind up getting off on whatever for appeals later on, so you're really not doing that good. I'd like to see you convicting the guilty people that stay in jail. So if you could just keep doing that and maybe slack off on the guys we're pretty certain aren't guilty on much, well, go for that.
Yeah. I don't know, and that's part of design too, because it's like designing incentives, like where do you want, because people often talk about, game theory and the prisoner's dilemma from the point of view of the prisoners. It's like, okay, we're offering the prisoner, you can take this option or this other option.
For those who don't know, the prisoner's dilemma is two people get arrested for a crime. It doesn't really matter what in this case. It's just, they've committed generic crime. And so they get taken down to the cop shop and taken apart. So they're each in separate rooms. Now, if let's see if I can get this right. If one of them pleads on the other, the guy who made the plea goes off free. The guy who who gets convicted, the one guy, goes to prison for 5 years or so, we'll say. And it could happen vice versa. You can get plead upon yourself, you get 5 years prison. If you're both convicted guilty sort of thing, but it's the two of you, you only get 2 years prison. However, if you manage to hole up shut, and nobody, says anything, well, the cops don't actually have enough evidence for you. You both walk away scot-free. What's your best way to go, and what's your odds and all that?
Yeah.
And so they weigh it out, and they do different checks, like, okay, what if it's 7 years in prison for getting ratted on? And like how, and it works out. It's very interesting math to look at. So if you're a fan of math and mental logic problems, sit down and think this stuff through, man. Hit it up on the Wikipedia. They got all sorts of fun stuff.
Yeah, and the idea is the police want to design that scenario if they can, whatever areas they can
if they can engineer the situation.
They want to design it so that each prisoner, no matter what the other guy says, their better option is to confess. Like they want to design that scenario so that the reward is always greater if you confess. Like if the other guy doesn't. And then there's a small chance of them both not confessing and
walk away scot-free. Haha.
But yeah, people don't. I mean, well, I'm sure some people do, but you don't think of it as in terms of incentives for the prosecutors and the sort of the government side of things, where it's just their incentive is. I don't know, I guess their job is to put people in jail, so that's all they're trying to do is just get as many people into jail as they can.
Which is a horrible concept, and I sometimes wonder how those people have a good night's sleep sometimes. Maybe they don't. Maybe that's why they're so grumpy and they just want to put everyone in prison.
Well, maybe. I think they probably just see it as just moving people through the system, and they're like, well, somebody else will sort it out later, kind of deal.
Yeah, the appeals court will take care of it all later. Whatever.
Yeah. Or sometimes they say, well, they're just scumbags anyways, which is not true because even like...
That's an unfair generalization.
Yeah, they're people too, and they have rights and everything, so... Yeah. Where was I going? Oh yeah, designing the system to funnel people to do the right thing. And it's difficult because there's not a number that you can attach to ultimate justice, which is why we do comic books and we love to read about... Rorschach and Judge Dredd and Batman who dish out justice in some kind of magical way.
I don't like the term dishing out justice. Okay. I like the term forging justice.
It's probably a bad, yeah.
No, dishing out justice is used. I prefer forging justice because justice doesn't naturally exist. It has to be something that is created. If you go out, in the world and you take a stick and you start poking at all the little bits in the woods there, you're not going to find justice leaking out of a tree. You're not going to find it in a bird's nest. You're not going to find it underneath a duff on the layer of the floor.
You go to a buffet and you dish out yourself a plate of justice.
Well, that indicates that justice is just sitting there waiting to be ladled out. Justice must be forged. Justice must be heated and smelted. Okay. And then it's got to be like the trial by fire. Justice has to be made.
No, I like that.
It has to be created and all sort of thing. And I think that's a better use of the term for it because it gives a much more honest perspective as to what is justice. Without the the Batmans and the vigilantes, the prosecutors that make sure that the guilty people go to jail. justice won't be created. It won't happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I suppose if you're a big believer in karma, it might ultimately happen. Like, oh, yay! Justice kind of happened. No. By and large, the guilty will walk free unless justice happens. And I think that might be an interesting way to revolutionize the concept of a vigilante.
Yeah, sure. That's cool.
The streets are lawless and people are getting away with stuff. I must make sure that, justice is given. Justice is made on these streets.
And it might be like I might be being.
The concept is like a judge. You get like a big old burly guy judge, and instead of like just a pitiful little gavel, he's got himself like a 10-ton hammer sort of thing. The thing you see in the Carney things, and he smacks that around. That's how he's clubbing down people and knocking things out, man. He is the judge, and I guess his sidekick can be like the jury.
The judge and the jury. Does the jury have like 12 heads, or is he just... The
jury has the ability to replicate himself. The jury is actually in this. I'm just creating it up right now.
Okay.
The jury is like an android who has like a double 6-pack of bodies. You can destroy one member of the jury, but the rest of them will still wind up coming back to the scene.
Man, what a horrible existence to you're doomed to an entire life. You're immortal too, because he's a robot. So you're forever in jury duty. Your entire existence is.
But his existence is critical because the judge can try, doing the thing and dispensing it out, but the jury is the guy that makes sure he's doing it right. Sorry, we the jury find him not guilty. You are wrong in this case, and so the jury is the only one that stops this manic, crazy, judge persona guy from completely just smashing, the skulls of crooks everywhere. He has to make sure it's proper justice being, dished out, as according to you, and not retribution sprayed indiscriminately.
Yeah. Or do you think the jury could be like a channeler, channeling the souls of the dead, like a new soul every...
Ooh.
So when you die, you do jury duty.
Okay, yeah. They have the one guy in DC Comics called the Rag Man, and what it is he's really like an extra-dimensional space inside his raggedy cloth suit. And so he can channel the souls of the dead people in there, the convicts, cool. And who can use their strength. So all of a sudden, hey, he's got the strength of 200 convicts, rah! And he uses that, them, and it's there.
I love how the convicts are strong just because they've been convicted.
Well, it doesn't really matter. If you got 200 of them, you're going to wind up being pretty strong just by default.
Yeah. Okay,
but they lend their strength to him. They'll do lend what they can to him in an effort to find retribution, so that they don't wind up. This is like a more cosmic ending. It's not going to jail. These souls, if they don't find a way to attain salvation, they will go to hell if they leave the suit.
Yeah.
And so, the Ragman has that sort of thing. So in this case, the jury that we've just come up with, it's like a 12-pack of zombies that wind up, coming back from the dead, and they must serve the jury duty to help make sure, the things go right, so that they can finally go to rest. And that's when, one of the jury just drops down as a regular corpse, no longer a zombie thing.
I like the idea of a zombie court. Imagine, could the judge be another undead of some kind?
We, the jury, find in verdict of brains.
Oh, man. That should be a short, a YouTube or something.
If only I knew how to do proper animation. Well, okay, I suppose if you want, you could make the judge could be a vampire or something.
Yeah, I was trying to think. I don't know if vampire works for that symbol. You need something a little more neutral, like a mummy could be. A mummy judge? Okay,
yeah. Well, you got the golden locks or the white locks sort of thing they're supposed to wear. You can work that up with an Egyptian headdress sort of thing. And so it could be the Pharaoh come back to, this is not the life that was supposed to happen. It was supposed to be as they prophesized, in ancient Egypt, where order is the rule of the universe. And this universe is full of chaos, dang chaos theory everywhere. And so he comes back, not to, enact, horrible revenge against those who disturbed his tomb. He's come back. Forget these guys, whatever. They were doing archaeological stuff. They can keep doing that. They're promoting order of history. Yeah. And so he goes out to try and make the universe a lawful place that it should be. He is so tired of this. Even the afterlife is full of chaos. He says enough of that. He's going out. He will be the judge, and he will make the law happen.
I like it. And he could, what's the germ, Ma'at, I think?
Yeah. So the scales of justice sort of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we got a kind of nice theme going on here. I'm going to put a pin in there.
Not sure how we got there.
You took the ferry.
Oh, yeah, I took the ferry to Vancouver. Oh, and other things that I did, I dug a tunnel in Minecraft, and I built a wall around a village.
Oh.
There. So what have you been up to?
Well, I've been letting my back convalesce, sort of thing.
Oh, yes, right. Yeah, you had hurt your back the last podcast.
I picked up my daughter from the daycare, and she'd been playing in the sandbox, and she seemed rather happy and content. And so once she went to sleep, I said, you know what? We're going to pop a half dose of the back meds so I don't get too loopy or sleepy. And I'm going to go into Minecraft, and I'm going to play in the sand. There's a village just west of where I've been working, or just east of where I've been working, so I go off east, and I just start making around, and I come up with a nice little town. Just over the course of the week, I just built it up.
Yeah, like out of sandstone and stuff. You showed it to me before we recorded.
I really enjoyed the sandstone. The top is just so nice and neat and clean. Mm-hmm. It looks very much like what you'd see in a civilized area.
Cool. Yeah.
And it's wonderful to work with, easy to chop down. I don't know what I'm going to wind up doing with all the sand I've collected. I mean, I tried condensing a lot of it into sandstone, but there's just so much of the darn stuff.
Wow, that's good. Do you have like enchanted shovels at this point?
No, I was just digging it out by hand.
Did you use a regular shovel?
In retrospect, I probably should have used even a stone shovel, because I got a lot of cobblestone right now in that new town.
Yeah.
But, no, I was just digging it out by hand, because it's like, I'm not working so hard. It's not like, I got to get this section of the town done by the end of the night, man. I'm on a deadline. No, I'm just goofing around, whatever. Dig it up by hand, dig it up. Well, my daughter was digging sand up by hand. I'll dig that up by hand, too. Good enough for me. So I had a lot of fun with that. I finally found a good use for the acacia wood. Turns out the dark orange color is a nice contrast to the blank white of the top of the sandstone.
Oh, that's cool. That's good.
So I learned a little bit about basic aesthetics. I might go back to the town and finish little things up. I got some nice plans for the center of town. I am going to have to work on the little huts I created, just a little 2x2 with a lot of doors in there, because it's not producing a town population high enough as determined by the amount of doors there. And I don't know why, but everyone just decided to migrate to the northwest corner, and that's where the town is. Everywhere else is like abandoned. There's nobody else anywhere in the place.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't even think they register any other quadrant of the town as part of a village.
Yeah, that might be a problem. Like they might not even see it. So I think one thing I would try is just take the doors off, and then let them one night or 2 nights go by, and then put the doors back on starting in the southeast corner, and just see what happens.
Well, I do have a secondary problem with that, and most of them wound up living underground.
Oh, yeah.
I always like doing a little underground sort of work, and I was having some fun there. The one golem's down there, and by and large, it's just 3 or 4 people upside. Everyone else is living a subterranean existence.
Yeah. Well, also, the doors will count as a house if, 10 blocks or so below a door. So they think they're in that building, or they think they're, basically...
Well, that's the problem I had in the main town, is everyone just kept wandering downstairs, and that's why I had to start killing the villagers, as I did in my previous podcast.
Yeah.
That's why I stopped playing for a little bit. It was getting a little dark even for me.
Uh-huh.
So I had to stop that, and... So I was like, well, geez, what am I going to do with these guys underground? Now, if I could just make it so they could use all 4 quadrants, I would love the amount of the town population, a little bit up above town, but a lot of people, 40 thieves operating in the underground catacombs.
Yeah.
That could be pretty, badass. Or I could just create a very dark area where monsters can spawn underground, and just let the infinitely spawning monsters, like the zombies, just eat everyone and eventually kill the golem until everyone's up above ground again. I'm not actually a fan of that one. Okay. The concept of wandering around down underground and encountering a creeper where all the area around is sandstone, which has very little blast resistance, does not appeal to me. So might have to rework some things. But any which way, I mean, honestly, the golem wandering around down underneath the ground is pretty badass, because he's just tall enough to walk. And his shoulders are just broad enough he can squeeze through the corridor. He's like a moving door as he's going down the way. And so that's kind of nice seeing that. And when you're walking above town, it's like all of a sudden you hear doom, doom, doom. And what's that? Oh, that's the monster under the earth walking around.
Oh, yeah.
So that's got a nice style to it of its own.
Yeah.
But yeah, by and large, I enjoyed what I have done. And, yeah, that was my big thing this week.
That was your thing? Cool. Yeah.
Although, I must admit, I was watching, I'm going to seg into our topic.
All right,
our
let's go.
official topic.
Let's do it.
I was watching the movie Son of Dracula, starring Lon Chaney Jr. as, not the werewolf, not, Frankenstein, not the mummy, but he's actually like the son of Dracula. In this case, Count Alucard. It's Dracula spelled backwards. In 1943, this was big and surprising. 70 years later, not so much.
How come, like, regular people don't just take their dad's name backwards? Like in real life.
You can. Actually, when we were writing up...
If your dad's name is Bob.
Well, here's the thing, is when we were writing up my daughter's name for the official stuff, we had the option of giving her any surname we wanted. Didn't have to be my surname, didn't have to be the wife's surname.
Oh, yeah.
We could have just chosen any random name. So, she could have been Yipcrick. Zoe Yipcrick.
Sweet.
Has a nice little ring to it, I won't lie, but no. We weren't going to do fun stuff like that, because then everyone would ask for the explanation. So it would have to be for the rest of our natural lives explaining why our daughter's got my name backwards. So, yeah.
I don't know. In a weird way, that appeals to me, but I'm twisted. I'm the one who spells my name wrong on Facebook, so...
Well, it's just to keep the internet stalkers from getting you.
That's right, yeah, because I have so many.
Yeah. But no. Honestly, it kind of appealed to me too. So I just stood there, just looking at the blank sheet. It's like, there's infinite potential in this name. Anything, any name we could choose, it could be on there, and it would count unless it was something vulgar, offensive, or exploitative. You cannot name your child Coca-Cola and hope to get dividends from the corporation.
Well, that's unfortunate. But you could name
some countries you can. A lot of countries you can't.
Okay. I was thinking about that, and I remember, because some companies are just named after families.
Yeah.
Johnson & Johnson. Can you name your kid Johnson and say, hey, Johnson & Johnson?
Yeah. It's just, here's my son, Johnson N. Johnson.
Believe he's entitled to some shares in your company.
If the company's lenient enough and they figure they can get a good publicity market out of it, maybe. Otherwise, no. You get nothing. But yes, the son of Dracula.
You could name your kid McDonald, and McDonald's can't do anything about it, because McDonald is a common name.
Yeah, but then you have to prove to McDonald's why they deserve it as opposed to all the other people with the McDonald's surname.
That'd be funny if McDonald's just had a sudden, campaign and just everybody named McDonald is now a shareholder.
You're part of our family. You get 25% discount upon showing your ID for a McDonald's surname.
I was thinking, there's a place...
Actually, that's not a bad idea.
There's a place a block away from my house called Levin's Bread Makery. No, what are they? What's the place that makes... Bakery.
Bakery, yes. Bakeries make things like bread.
But they make specialized bread. They don't do, cakes and stuff. They do, bread. And it's called Levin's. And I was like, I should go in there, and I should tell them what my name is, because it's Treleaven. Yeah. And I should demand a discount.
3 loaves of bread, because it's Treleaven.
That's right.
There you go. Every day, 3 loaves, because I'm Treleaven.
That's right.
And if anybody comes in quad-11, I'm going to fight him for it.
He's my nemesis. Or
he thinks he's so good just because he's technically 33% more of a surname than me. Mm-hmm. But yes, the son of Dracula, he kept his coffin in a drainage culvert sort of thing.
Under a road.
No, not really under a road. It's more like just a drainage ditch out in the middle of the woods sort of thing, just to make sure drainage flows properly.
Well, that's a lousy place to put a coffin.
It was a very lousy place because, the madman, there's always a madman in a Dracula movie, like the Renfield role, effectively.
Right.
Madman goes to destroy Dracula because, that's what he was told by his lady love, who is now a vampire. She played the son of Dracula. And she's going to have him become one too, and he loves her dearly, so he's got to get rid of, Alucard. And so she tells him where the location is, and he goes into the drainage culvert, and, hey, underneath all this dry grass here, he just moves out of the way, and there's the coffin. So what does he do? He opens up the coffin, puts the dry grass in, and sets it up on fire. So, hey, now there's no spot for Count Alucard to fall asleep.
Yeah.
And Alucard's ready. He's just ready to thrash him on this thing. Put out the fire! Put out the fire! He's ready to put out the fire with this guy's body. Just smack him down. Use him as
a vampire would. Yes.
As somebody losing their only place to sleep on this continent probably would. You don't have to be, the Son of Dracula to do this. You just have to be frantically worked up enough to beat somebody, to death as a way to put out a fire. But as he's thrashing the guy around and all that, he looks over and he doesn't have to squat or move around. The light from the rising sun gets him. He's in an area with open access to sunlight. And needless to say, he gets burned, falls into a thing of water, and his hand with the symbol of Count Alucard turns into a nice little skeletal hand. The end for him.
That's his end. Is that the end of the movie or just?
No, the lady who got turned into the vampire has to go next, sort of thing.
Okay. Very
tragic scene, sort of thing. The look of a man who has lost everything, sort of thing. Just artistically beautiful. Really tug at your heartstrings. So yeah, I guess spoiler alert, but it's a 70-year-old movie, whatever.
Okay.
But I was thinking to myself, this is really poor security. This guy, no wonder he's calling himself Alucard. He does not deserve the Dracula surname. He is not up to, his dad had a really nice secure setup, man. Mm-hmm. Everyone around him was completely afraid. One exit way. His coffin was completely out of natural sunlight area. No burnable things to use. This is a nice tinder to light things up. And yeah, there happens to be a few other people just fanatically worshipping him. Like the Brides of Dracula and your Enfield type people. Mm-hmm. Very good, secure setup. Thumbs up to Dracula on his setup design. Yeah. This Count Alucard, he almost asked for his own death that way. It was very poorly done.
Yeah, well, that could almost be its own topic, the succession of, the son of someone awesome like Dracula. How do you can't live up to Dracula, but are you going to be that much of a loser as to just be
and then I put my coffin out in the middle of a sunny field. No one will find me there. Ha ha. And so that got me thinking, I was I've played a little bit of the World of Darkness, and I was thinking, anytime it was even remotely a modern type setting, there's a lot better security setups you could wind up doing. You could, you could use your vampiric, mesmeric abilities to charm 5, 6, maybe even up to a half dozen, full dozen, fairly well-off people, get them to start an organization, call it an art gallery of a private art gallery that happens to have very good security, pecker roll shutters you see come slamming down, did you ever see the remake for that? Was it the House on Haunted Hill? It was a remake of one of the old ones. It was a classic, horror movie. They remade it. Very nice effects, kind of weird sort of thing. But yeah, when the building goes into complete lockdown, it used to be an insane asylum for the violently insane. So bam, everything is locked shut. You are effectively entombed in this building until someone can open you and get it out.
Entombed. That could be useful if you were someone who is undead in need of a tomb.
Precisely. So you could work up, that's where you happen to be, you're just, living in the basement, which just happens to be better than your average basement. It's like a luxurious subterranean palace.
Yeah.
You could have a really secure setup on this sort of thing. But you're not just going to move into town and, and start it up, and say, I guess in the meantime I'll just put my coffin in the warehouse. No, you don't just go into town and start up yourself. If you're this master manipulator, you send your Enfields in. You get them to make sure you have at least a very much more secure setup, than just, wandering around. This looks good, I'll put my coffin here.
Yeah.
Set up the secure area, then you go, you probably want some extra security. Beef it up with a biker gang, I suppose, enthrall some of the bikers and, maybe give them some of the vampiric blood, make sure they got that big, vampiric rage and strength and have them get really loyal to you that way. You could have a really sweet setup all told. Everything going for you.
Dracula did it because he was an aristocrat and he was sort of inherited wealth.
Well, he had a castle to begin with.
Yeah, he had a castle and he had, I suppose, some serfs or something on his land or...
Well, you could just go to the nearby town and enthrall anyone he wanted. That's kind of the reason they feared him so much. Mm. They all knew at any time he wanted, they'd become his. They were free under his goodwill.
Yeah.
And Dracula is not known for goodwill.
But then Alucard doesn't sound like he had the same sort of resources. But then, yeah, in a modern sort of a vampire starting out, assuming he's not like he's been.
Well, that and he was betrayed by the woman he wound up embracing and kind of fell in love with. He had like a plantation sort of thing he could wind up being in with a very, very quick time. But no, he's got his little place in the culvert sort of thing. Plus. In that one, a vampire needs to rest in the soil of his grave. And in that coffin, he had some handfuls of sand from his dirt from his grave. And that qualifies as his grave then.
Was this in America? Or
it was in America. He took the boat and then eventually a train. Although the train wasn't haunted. You expect with Dracula, like when Dracula's boat came into the New World, it came in. This was something people would wind up talking about for generations. Like, I remember the time that the boat came in, there was no one on. Everyone was dead. It just came right on. It was mind-blowing. It was a big storm as it came rushing in. Just absolutely horrific. One insane guy. Everyone else was utterly dead. Not a drop of blood in any of their corpses.
Sweet.
Horrible thing and all that. Meanwhile, it's like, oh no, there's no Count Alucard on this train, but there's an awful lot of boxes in the back. Maybe he brought some of his stuff, ahead with him. The train just comes in town. It's not like an ominous, because a train can be very ominous when done right. They never even tried, which is sad.
Yeah, I like that the idea of Dracula or the upstart Alucard as a metaphor or for like immigrants from Eastern Europe and that sort of idea. I wonder if there's anything, or maybe I'm just imagining that. I don't know.
He didn't have any sort of an accent for that. I love the guy who played him, but Lon Chaney Jr. was not known for accents.
Okay.
His voice enough would just enthrall you, so he definitely had the hypnotic voice going.
Okay.
Just in how he speaks. Slow, very well articulated, and almost as though he's trying to talk down to you without sounding like he's talking down to you. So it was very nicely done.
And what year was it set in?
1943. I remember because at the very end there was like a... Remember, you're not spending, you're only lending when you buy, war bonds sold here.
Is it like an actual commercial or is part of the
It was
story?
just a little thing after the credits.
Okay.
Sort of thing. It's like, hey, don't forget, buy war bonds. You're not spending money, you're only lending it to the government. And it's like, oh, I was right to do a quick check. That's right, it was a 1943 movie. World War II was going on during this. So maybe I can understand why they had their head a little elsewhere. World War II was happening. It's kind of a good enough excuse for a lot of things to slide.
So he's an Eastern European aristocracy migrating to the U.S. just before the war breaks out. Yeah, okay.
Well, it'd be before the American entered the war, sort of thing.
Yeah.
They were doing a lot of helping out with the Allies, but they didn't officially enter the war until, I believe, 1944. They were needed though. They gave the added they gave the lifeblood to the Allies. There were some very nice things you probably could have done there about like them injecting the fresh life into the beleaguered war. By the way, if you're planning a movie, the concept of like a bunch of vampires in World War II helping out the Allies to destroy Germany because the Nazis are so evil even by vampiric standards. There's a movie concept for you. Write it, sell it, I'll watch it, I'll review it, I'll give you, 13 Dwarfs, The Dragon, and The Hobbit.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool.
I'd watch it.
Yeah.
Forget your Inglourious Bastards movie, man. I want to see, blood drinking, vampiric, like damned souls versus the Nazis.
Yeah, well, I like maybe there'd be a couple on the Nazi side, so it'd be vampire versus vampire, like the American vampires versus the Nazis.
You have it be the Americans be effectively the vampires injecting the fresh blood into it, but you use the SS occult stuff so that you have the weird craziness of like everyone has for like their horrible ideas about like what was the SS really doing with their belief in their secret society. So yeah, they got weird crazy things going on. Maybe a gun that shoots off, lightning bolts or something, whatever. Make it up. I'm not going to give you the entire script. You write the rest of this yourself.
This is not the script writing podcast.
But yeah, they could. I think a movie like that would have been pretty sweet. But the concept of such lax security, and then I sit down at my computer today.
Security, yeah.
I sit down at my computer today and I look at my icons on my desktop. It's like, malware bytes, anti-malware. And so I sit down and I click on it. It's like, I haven't used it in a while. is this has not been updated in 340 days. Would you like to update your definitions for malware? And I'm like, Ryan, you have some horrible security on your computer.
Yeah, but you're no vampire. You can't just enthrall someone and get them to put.
No, but I can tell myself,
software.
You know what? It's top of the month. Do a quick malware check. Play a couple games of Mahjong Tiles as the whole thing runs. Clean out the cache. Empty out all your web browsing history and all that. Just clean it up, make it nice and neat, and keep yourself out of the bad graces of the viruses and malwares. And so it occurs to me, bad security, it happens because you're distracted. You're doing other things. And so I was thinking, like one of the concepts, in D&D is like, well, you can get yourself your own castle if you loot enough corpses and steal all their money. And a lot of people don't go for that because they say, well, everyone's just going to get abducted. And I'm going to oh no, your head seneschal. Oh no, the lead architect. Oh no, this person from there, they've been abducted by Monster of the Week.
Oh yes.
No matter how good they build the castle, the DM has the potential to say, yeah, goblins just came in, took the guy, and walked out.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's not much security there.
Yeah.
And yet the concept of the average dungeon is laden with security. You're trying to bust the security, of course, being the adventure.
Yeah.
But it's all there. And security is a heavy concept in the basic role-playing game.
Yeah.
You're never going into the area. It's just like, oh yeah, you just walk in, pick up, the Mona Lisa and walk out. That's your master, heist. You have to plan this stuff out. You got to have some fun. There's car chase. There's stuff going on. You got to relay, laser beams and all that to make things work. So you can, go through. Or you got to do one of those acrobatic dances. It's like techno music plays in the background as you're dodging all the moving laser beams and all that.
Uh-huh.
And so, what's your thought on the concept of security in gaming? Like, is this something that it should be looked at a little further?
Yes, if you want to. I don't know if it's absolutely necessary, but as a DM, you definitely you build dungeons. So you're definitely aware of space and aware of how people get in back doors.
No, I can't put this room over here. It's too close to the other. It's only going to be 1 foot of solid stone. The players are just going to be able to bust that down before they figure out the thrice cursed door leading in. Yeah. I got to make sure it slides another 5-10 feet over, so they don't want to just go mining through the hallways.
Yeah. On the other hand, in real life, people screw up security all the time. They might. It's funny because they might think. And they might have done spent a lot of money and worked really hard on trying to make it secure, but there might be that one exhaust port that
they never did put a closed valve on there. Why they even had an exhaust port there? I mean, it's not like it's going out anywhere in particular. They could vent to 6 exhaust ports all over through the place, have them be tiny sized. Why are they going with the big exhaust port? Especially on the second Death Star. That thing was so big you could fly the Millennium Falcon in there, and they did.
Well, yeah, they probably fixed the exhaust port problem in the ultimate design, but it wasn't finished.
But when they expanded the size of it, they just kept everything isometrically expanded. I mean, it was a huge exhaust port. You think after the first one blew up, it's like, hey, how'd they do that? You can. This isn't small enough like trying to hit womp rats out of the back of a land speeder. This thing's big enough you could drive a Millennium Falcon through it, and then people did.
Well, I think the idea with the Death Star is it's supposed to be protected by smaller ships. It's supposed, like an aircraft carrier is it's actually rather vulnerable if you get sort of to the right area or whatever.
So the Death Star should have been protected by more kill moon satellites?
Yeah, and an aircraft carrier is supposed to be accompanied by whatever, destroyers.
It's an entire fleet, an armada going through.
Yeah, and other little boats to make sure that nobody sneaks in and torpedoes it or something like that.
Oh, okay, yeah, because it's big and it's powerful, but it's unwieldy and slow, and so you got to have the compensatory units to make up for it. That's why if a lot of games like the older Civilization ones, there was one ultimate unit, and a lot of people said, well, that's not really right. There's no one ultimate unit. And so in the later editions, they said, okay, this, you got a rock, paper, scissors. A trumps B, which trumps C, which trumps A.
Yeah.
So you got to have all 3 of them together and make sure they're all set up right, so that way you can always win.
But yeah, I suppose in a universe like Star Wars, where there used to be Jedi, and theoretically it's a very large galaxy, you might think you killed them all, but I'm pretty sure you're going to miss 1 or 2.
It's a dang big. I mean, it's a galaxy. It's its own like galaxy, man. That is inherently large. It's galactically big.
So what you're gonna want to do?
If I'm not mistaken, there's like a quarter of it, or nearly a half of it, that is like completely unexplored because of a lack of proper, space lanes to go through.
Yeah, hyperspace lanes. Yeah. So you'll want, if you build something on that scale and you're truly concerned about security, you'll want to have a Force user on your side. The problem with the dark side is there's so much infighting in politics that it's very difficult to have more than 2 Sith Lords kind of at the same time.
That is rather... They don't seem to have a nice philosophy that allows them to scale up. It's always a one master, one apprentice. Whereas with the Jedi, it's like, okay, we're going to train a dozen of you now, and we got some guy in the next room, he's training another dozen.
Yeah, and the Death Star only needs one kind of Force adept guy to be like, I feel a disturbance in the Force. There's another Jedi approaching in a small craft. I'll go one-on-one. Well, Darth Vader went one-on-one with Luke, but for some reason, why did Darth Vader... I guess Han came in and shot him or something?
He was outmaneuvered, long story short.
4.
He got, He got one up... Well, I mean, because there was another Force user, it's just kind of like... it's like, nothing can trump my ultimate unit except other ultimate unit, and all of a sudden they're back on level playing ground, so it's just kind of like a flip a coin, see who wins sort of thing.
I still think, like, Anakin should have been a much superior pilot, even with all of his injuries and everything. I think it's probably what it was, is he still had a corner of himself that was still invested in Luke, or goodness.
Oh, well, here's the thing. Anakin was as good a pilot as he was because he was using the Force to help him out.
Yeah.
If it was just, like an 8-year-old kid in a speeder, flaming rubble comes to mind for an outcome there. And so after Darth Vader got so many pieces lost of him, he wasn't as good a pilot as he could have been. He was more technically trained by that point. He could, make up for it, but he didn't have the original Force, intuitiveness.
I believe that to an extent. I think that would, yes, have an effect, but I still think he would have been, even with that deficit, I still think he would have been a way better pilot than Luke at that point. Which is why my theory is that he has that corner of himself. The good side remains, and he knew
the actual Anakin, not the Vader persona.
Yeah, the Anakin side. He knew in his heart that he should not be, firing on Luke or whatever. That's why he let himself.
Was a self betrayal.
I think so. Yeah, and I also think that's why he loses the lightsaber battle. Or no, he kills the Emperor at the end, right?
He kills the Emperor at the end just because he's how much of a bad arse of the whole thing. And the Emperor did not see that coming, sort of thing.
Yeah. So I think that was all inside. I don't think any of that was Anakin failing. I think it was just his good side.
But there's the lack of security for the Emperor.
Yeah.
He should have known that his apprentice would try and betray him at some point. I mean, he was going to betray, Vader, upgrade to the junior model. I mean, this guy's got all his original parts except for the hand after a little bit there. But he's like, well, you know what? He's kind of a big bruiser for this Vader guy. Chances are he's going to physically assault me. I should probably have some sort of, cloth weave that allows me to electrocute anyone touching me, rather than try this Force lightning, because, Force lightning's kind of awesome. But you know what? An electrical short circuit, or just maybe carrying around a little EMP bomb sort of thing, wouldn't hurt. He had lax security, and that was his undoing.
Mm-hmm.
Also, not enough safety nets in those giant, horrible, like air vent areas where you can just toss a person down and there he goes.
Yeah, couldn't you just put a dampening field that, it doesn't even have to be a net, just a field that slows the descent of a person in it, like a little gravitational field, so that if you fell...
Well, that would require a little bit more technological innovation than they apparently seem to have.
So.
Otherwise,
it just costs money to install those when they
but
don't.
He's the Emperor.
If a stormtrooper falls down there once in a while, who cares?
Get some of the stormtrooper cleaners down there. Get a couple droids or whatever. We got another one clogging up one of the subtunnels again.
You'd think we should invest in some kind of damper field, but
maybe a fence or a railing or something.
Stormtroopers are cheap.
Well, yeah, they're not free, but they're pretty cheap. They're cloned.
They're only like $1 billion each, but we have.
We buy them in bulk. We get a pretty good discount on that. And honestly, I'm thinking about just doing some honest, organic recruiting. There's a lot of people on Tatooine that want to get off that place. We'll just, train them up. They're the new stormtroopers. We'll give them a different head decal or something.
Some of them are a little short to be a stormtrooper. That's okay.
Hey, we'll have them double up on his odor eaters. It'll be fine. There we go. That's how things could have been avoided.
I like that thought. I wonder how much a stormtrooper would really cost, to including all the training and everything. It probably would be
I bet you the
millions.
Wikipedia's got it.
Yeah, if you converted it somehow to today's, I don't know even how you would do that, but
it's all in credit sort of thing. And then you wind up
Republic
converting
credits.
it to what the cost of a car is or a land speeder there, and just work it across.
But it's cheap to the Empire, but to us it would be
$50,000. That's actually not a bad price, but I can't afford that.
Yeah. So security.
Yeah. If they had put some railings on there, maybe a proper mesh net every couple 100 feet in those things, maybe the Emperor could have just, whoa, that was kind of fun. I'll do that again after I kill everyone.
Well, you'd think, actually, Coruscant, it's a big, thriving city, and people at some point are going to fall out a window.
And they don't seem to have many railings over there either.
Well, not a lot of railings, but also, you should be able to install a planet-wide fall dampening system.
Or just maybe a little, hover pack sort of thing. You just, anytime, you're going above 50 stories, hover pack. Sorry, it's the law, and it's for your safety.
Yeah, although they don't make in, New York City, if they're on a high-story floor.
On the other hand, in New York City, they do make sure that you can't jump off the side of anything, and all the windows are perfectly sealed.
Was there a balcony in that scene with Mace Windu?
There was a couple.
Or was that just a broken window?
There's a broken window, but there's a couple scenes with balconies that, honestly, I don't think the ledge went higher than my coffee table. I'm just looking at my coffee table right now. And
it's like a foot up,
right.
A foot and a half.
It would not stop a hyperactive dog from, trying to, there's a bird.
I guess that's true, because, buildings on planet Earth, if they're really tall and they're okay, we're definitely, this is a great building, so we definitely need an observation platform. But what they usually do is they're
huge
okay,
mesh cage up top.
Well, there's mesh cage, and it's this is the observation floor. There's one observation floor where people go, okay, if you want to get a good view, you go there.
You want to try and whip a penny off, whatever.
Well, yeah, but otherwise the rest of the building is no, this is office space. You just work in it, and yes, there's windows to look out, but it's not it's not designed for the view. There's one floor for that. But yeah, in Star Wars, I guess because it's cinematic.
Effectively, like the most luxurious apartment condo you ever seen.
Yeah, but there are a lot more balconies on the top.
Although I am willing to grant them the balconies as a more common
force
thing.
Fields, I guess.
Well, not just force fields, but because the balcony also acts as a secondary gateway in. It's an entrance. You got your hover car. You park it off on the side there.
Oh yeah,
and that's just like the front entrance door you've got.
Yeah.
The one that leads to the center of the building, well, that's the back way entrance. That's for the people who live there. That's how you get in safe and secure, once you parked your hover car.
I'd like to see, a gangster movie set on Coruscant where there's a lot of, people getting thrown off balconies and stuff. Because you'd think...
You might be able to check out the Clone Wars. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. There's at least someone getting thrown off somewhere every once in a while.
Yeah, because that's, from a storyteller's point of view, balconies are, just asking, it's like Chekhov's gun. It's just asking, there's a huge balcony, 100 stories in the air. Gotta use it. I
would love to see where they have a security system set up where they've just got a bunch of electronic eyes monitoring anything moving downwards too fast, and it sends off a shotgun, a grapple gun, so it catches you up towards the center mass, grabs it, and all of a sudden bungee cord.
Yeah. Or just activate, it might have little quadrants in the bottom of the street, just squares, and just repulsors on. And so you sort of land and get cushioned as you... I'm
going to have to go against that because that sounds like too much fun. Well, I'm going to go out for some milk. Cannonball! Off you go on the porch.
Maybe it's okay, so it has to zap you, too, on the way down, as a punishment. No, bad.
Mind you, given the way the people are driving and how many layers of traffic they have, there is always the chance that you wind up as a rather big stain on somebody's windshield.
I guess that's true.
They were driving pretty close. I saw the Jedis jumping off on there, and they were jumping from traffic level to traffic level.
That's a good point. Do we know what happened to Mace Windu when he fell?
He died.
Did he die before he got knocked out?
No, he died around the bottom.
Around the bottom. Because you'd think, like, if it had been a similar scene to the Anakin and Qui-Gon scenes, he should have been able to do that whole, like, Jedi thing and, like, land in a car and like, you know, the whole cinematic, like,
I don't think it was Qui-Gon in that scene. I think it was actually Obi-Wan.
Just Obi-Wan himself?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So it's Obi and Annie.
Oh, yeah, Obi-Wan and Anakin, yeah.
But that said, I mean, I like Mace Windu. The guy's got the most awesome lightsaber I've seen, you know, in proper canon. But if he's such a good, you know, Jedi Force user, shouldn't he have been able to use the Force to cushion himself and just...
Actually, that too, yeah. He should have. Did he get knocked out or something?
He was not at the top of his game after the lightning hit him. The Dark Force lightning.
Oh, he got hit by lightning, too. Okay.
That's got to do something to your reflexes. Probably breaks your concentration. I'm willing to grant it. Plus, you know, that's a pretty awesome death. He doesn't have to suffer from, you know, like, you know, Order 88 or Order 66? Whatever order kills all the Jedi. He doesn't have to suffer that.
Yeah.
So, that said, the whole place is horrible in security. I don't believe there's a single OSHA compliance law on the entire planet there. I wouldn't be surprised if you go down far enough in towards the underground layers if they just have like a little factory that makes nothing but fire and explosions. It just seems like the kind of, you know, existence they live there.
Yeah.
Like, and here's the thing: is there's so much that could be done in a setting like Star Wars 4, base security and all that. It's like, oh yeah, this planet, you know, is well, I mean, one of the best security things they did manage to do was like erase a planet from the records. That's where the clone troopers are getting all trained up. It's an unlisted planet.
Yes.
Pretty badass security in and of itself. It's like, oh, you know, I guess I didn't check, you know, to see how many planets were going around that star system. I've been told there's 0. Why did I even, you know, bother going there? Whoa. So, I mean, that's pretty good security there, but there's so much more. You could just take, like, a little planet, you know, and you could dig pretty deep into there. No one's going to watch you. No one's going to see what's going on except the local wildlife. You could do all. You could find a water planet and just put your, you know, little hidden secret base at the bottom of, you know, the solid central core of the water planet. Who's going to see that? Even if they find the planet, they're going to have to find the right area underneath at the bottom there.
Yeah, that's true.
Only the Mon Calamari and all them are going to be certain, well, what's down underneath there? No one else is going to think about it. They're going to say, I wonder if there are any tasty fish species in this water.
The Republic was not, or they weren't aware of the capabilities of the gun guns. I think they knew that the gun guns existed, but they thought they were just tribal.
The gun guns were nice, but I believe officially they were actually so annoying nobody gave a damn about them.
Yeah. But,
forget you guys, the Mon Calamari are a lot better to deal with, and they're also amphibious. We're going to go talk to them.
Yeah.
There you go. So that's why they got overlooked. I suppose there's a lot of that happening elsewhere in the galaxy. A lot of species being overlooked because, well, you know what, we're already dealing with these guys. It's basically redundancy. Why even bother with them? But, yeah, there's a lot that can be done. The things I could do if only I was existing in this, you know, fake reality. If I was a vampire in the world of darkness, boy, would I have the ultimate security system set up. If I was playing the game for you know, the world, old world, new world, doesn't matter. That's one of the things, that would be my main character's goal. I'm a fairly young vampire, so I'm clear on security. That's what I'm focusing on, making sure I can sleep in peace and I don't wake up with like 6 people, you know, like, oh, we're hunters, and oh, there goes your heart, it got stabbed up.
Yeah.
And for that matter, I would fall asleep with a nice, you know, multiple layers of a blade of armor around like my chest. Something like, a nice ballistics vest, maybe some a blade of linothorax armor, depending on the era I'm playing in.
It would be pretty cool if you were like Iron Man as a vampire.
Well, you know, you don't have to worry about any of those metal pieces entering your heart. You just get rid of... oh, what happens if you do remove the heart from a vampire? I'm going to have to check that up afterwards.
I think maybe it might not be removable except with a stake. So you have to sort of dig it out with a stake, with a wooden stake.
Oh, come on. I'm sure if you can do an autopsy, you can get the heart out of a vampire.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, in that case, I suppose it would go like that old Russian tale about the giant who I think it was a giant whose soul was kept in his finger, and as long as his finger was okay, you know, in one piece, the giant was completely invulnerable and indestructible, and the pinky finger it was on was kept, you know, like across the, you know, the farthest mountains in the land, and it was protected by like 100 harpies, and in a cave full of poisonous snakes, and
cool.
it was like an impenetrable, you know, like I'll explode and kill you only from the outside sort of thing, you know, like a trapped chest. And it was like, oh, and then the adventurer, you know, solves all the problems, finds it, crushes the pinky, giant drops dead. Da-da-da-da.
It'd be cool if there was a vampire Iron Man who's like got hit with a like a wooden grenade, and there's wooden splinters like creeping towards his heart.
So what do you do for the arc reactor to, you know, magnetically pull the stuff away?
Oh, you need something living, I guess. It might have to be spiritual, like a druidic, like a life.
Well, that's the thing is no, we can't remove it because this is living wood. But what I can do is have it grow out. So instead of the arc reactor, you've got a tree growing out.
yeah, there we go. Yeah, a little tree.
That's kind of
like
weird.
Some moss or something. That'd be.
So I keep it trimmed. It's a bonsai sort of thing. You know, when I'm laying in my coffin, I don't actually sleep an awful lot. I just have my bonsai kit with me and a little flashlight. Put the flashlight in my mouth and I just work on it slowly, just very careful. It helps keep me a proper sense of zen and satisfaction.
I like the thought.
It doesn't grant me superpowers or anything, but I'm very calm as a vampire goes.
You go shirtless and it's like, instead of a hairy chest, it's a mossy or a little tree chest.
Well, you know, I keep myself manscaped here. I've got the whole thing set up so that instead of chest hair, it looks like a nice little field of grass next to the tree. It's very nice.
All right, imagine like what
Please
if
don't stake me. This is a work of unliving art.
Yeah, what if the spiritual like energy of the darkness mixed and like made, I don't know, like biting fly traps or something on his.
Ooh, I like that sort of thing. You know, like he's got just a grasping mouth at the center. You know. That would be actually an interesting variation on the vampire. The guy doesn't start off as one. It's like a regular guy who gets like cursed, you know, like a living, you know, I don't know, wormwood in his system. Ooh, yeah. And then instead of like biting people with, you know, the teeth up in his mouth, he has to expose the, you know, the blood sucking chest. Or
man, that's awesome.
That I think is a very nice variation on a vampire. Well, I mean, have you ever heard of Sauron in the Marvel universe?
I don't think so.
He is a pterodactyl thing.
Okay.
He's generally a regular guy, but he needs to suck living energy from a person. So generally he knocks a person unconscious as he sucks out a part of their life force. Not through blood or anything, just, you know, hands on there. I'm draining you.
Okay. Yeah.
But if he drains a mutant's life energy, he becomes Sauron, which is like a pterodactyl humanoid who's got mesmerizing powers and screech powers and all that. He's basically a vampire for the savage land. And that's, you know, like, you take a look at him and see what he does. He's pretty rock on, man. You know, throw up the horns. This guy is metal. He's a pterodactyl vampire, man. And how he came about was that they wanted somebody that was basically a vampire. But at the time, the Comic Codes Authority explicitly said, like, no vampires. That was, like, one of their rules. And yeah.
Crazy, but yeah.
So they couldn't come up with a vampire. So they had to say, well, what if he's like a vampire? He's got mesmerizing eyes. He drains, you know, the life force out of you. But he wasn't a vampire. And so a guy gets bitten by radioactive mutant pterodactyls, and he winds up becoming Sauron.
Yeah.
That's actually his origin.
Well, I like, too, the idea that, you know, vampires go with bats, but what if you had a vampire that was more
primal, something, you know, 65 million like years back before bats existed. What goes on there?
Pterosaurs weren't dinosaurs, but
they were close enough.
Yeah, that sort of.
You want a flying creature for it, so that works.
Yeah.
But in this case, you know, you'd have your living plant as it, you know, like sends out like I don't know, planty tentacle or something as it latches on and drains the blood out of somebody.
Cool.
That way, no, he's not a vampire at all. He's infected by, you know, like cursed wormwood.
Yeah. And then, how do you stake him? Do you, like, would a
Well, he wouldn't be a vampire sort of thing, so a stake thing wouldn't work. You'd have to wind up using fire against him.
Fire
would have to
work,
maybe potentially vulnerable. Yeah. It's a very dry wood, unless it's recently engorged in blood, so wait till he drains out a little.
Or maybe, like, hit him with an axe of some kind, because...
Axes work against a lot of people. I'm pretty sure Oh, and I'm pretty sure if someone was to hit me with an axe, I could yell out, "Oh no, an axe, my secret weakness. How did you find out?" as I bleed out everywhere.
Oh, if that happens, you have to say that.
Honestly, if I ever have the opportunity to have such a thing happen to me, and I'm kind of hoping I don't.
Yeah.
But it's not a bad way to go. It's like, "Oh, bullets, my one weakness. How did you know?"
Okay.
It's not a bad way to go. But that said, I mean, if you're like this sort of guy who's vulnerable to fires we've just created up here, it wouldn't hurt to have some water defenses. Maybe, some of the anti-foaming agents, and fire retardants that you can find in fire, resistant stuff. You can get it at the local hardware store.
Yeah, so he's developing his own, little security system. Now,
it's kind of like a fire extinguisher, but it works more like a grenade sort of thing. So I just throw it down and everywhere.
I started him out as an Iron Man analog, but I don't know if we're getting rid of the suit. But is that still?
Well, okay. How about that bark grows over his system and all that, and that's instead of Iron Man, he becomes
Barkman.
Redwood.
The Redwood. Okay, I like that. The Sequoia.
No, we'll just go back. We'll call him Wormwood because he's got the vampiric qualities to him. Yeah, he's Wormwood, and that's his protective armor on there and all that.
Yeah, I like the thought that it's kind of rotty wood with if you peel back, there's beetles and stuff in there.
Yeah, I can dig that. Now he can't fly, but he can do kind of maybe not like Spider-Man, but more like a Carnage thing where he can extend shoots vines out and then swing from the vine.
Yeah.
Because Venom actually can't shoot webbing out. He actually extends a part of himself out for that. It looks like webbing, but unless he has it leave him where he loses a part of his actual physical mass, Venom just kind of operates through tentacle style.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that
he's like a shape changer, Venom, kind of.
Well, the symbiote is fairly amorphous. There's some interesting things. I encourage people to read up on it. There's some very nice stuff having been done with symbiotes in the history, including a nice little comic. If you can find this, pick it up. It's like a symbiote planet, where they manage one of them, I think it was Carnage or something, manages to get a teleportation beam from a symbiote-infested planet to New York. Then symbiotes freaking everywhere.
Now, a symbiote that implies that, because usually in the real world, they usually co-evolve. Symbiotes will co-evolve with a host, or a parasite will evolve with a host. Is that how the symbiote planet works?
No, the symbiotes are very much more naturally parasitic. They encourage their host to go into reckless adrenaline-pumping stuff until they wind up killing the host, and then they go find a new one to go base jumping with.
So they kind of have hosts on their own planet?
What's the thing is, there is some evidence to believe that originally they were a bioengineered species. They were supposed to be hey, you're going out into this dangerous, planet that no one's been on.
That lets you breathe.
It lets you adapt and heal up faster and have better strength. You'll do good on the pioneering on this one. And then things went wrong. Evolution happened and they became parasitic.
Yeah.
Whereas
self-aware and stuff.
Well, they were always at least minimally self-aware. This wound up becoming much more independent and greedy, I believe is what happened. Whereas the Venom symbiote is actually considered an atavistic throwback in that instead of using the host, he actually is open to a dialogue and he can be reasoned with.
Okay.
Whereas more of them were more like the Carnage symbiote, where they are slaughter everyone, hooray! This sounds like a good time to me. And so, as bad as Venom is, he's considered like a monastic saint compared to the other ones.
Right.
So, like I said, read up on it. It's actually quite interesting. Very good thought processes. Okay, somebody actually sat down and thought, how would this work? How does it go like this? And that's how Spider-Man first encountered the suit. It's like a little pod that wound up enveloping. Mm-hmm. And he wound up looking like the Spider Girl that was around at the time, because he was thinking about oh yeah, she's got a sweet suit, and all that. And so hey, that's how he got the black suit. But for some reason they always carried that over, and that all symbiotes apparently have the big spider eye look and the same sort of monochromatic style. Oh well.
Yeah.
It's a thing now. Whatever.
Cool. Well, we're a little bit over time. I just want to remind people we have an email address, thesimulationist@gmail.com.
Yeah, I think it's secure.
As secure as Gmail is, I suppose. You'll never guess my password. It's so secret.
Secret password?
I don't think you will guess it. Anyways.
Not that we ask you to try.
Yeah, not that. Yeah. What else? We're on Facebook, facebook.com/The Simulationist. And you can find us on Stitcher, seek us out on iTunes. You're probably already listening to one of those, but if you...
Find us on all.
Yeah, maybe one download on each. That would just, you don't have to or anything, but that would...
Spread the love, man. Spread the love.
In fact, yeah, just share us with your friends. Forward the link along to somebody who you think would enjoy a wacky conversation like we just had.
Tangents galore. Great ideas everywhere.
What else? We also have a YouTube channel. It's the same show. It's just also uploaded to YouTube in case you like to consume your media that way. It's youtube.com/thesimulationist. We will also occasionally like and favorite videos on there that we mention on the show. So if we mention something, it should also show up on our YouTube channel. And what else? Did I mention Twitter? @SpaceBoot1 is my Twitter. You don't have a Twitter yet?
I am Twitterless. I am a mute bird. I do not tweet.
Was there any other social media that we...
no, I think you've covered pretty much all the bases.
Okay. Yeah.
You can find us somewhere. Just search us up.
Yeah, you should be able to find us. We're also listed on rpgpodcasts.com, which also has some other pretty cool RPG podcasts, which you should definitely check out, because there's lots of good ones. And that's all.
But none quite like us.
That's all the social media. Leave us, all of those things have comments and reviews depending on the format of the site that you access on, but we welcome them all. We welcome any number of stars or thumbs or whatever you feel like this deserves, and as many comments as you feel like sharing. If you have thoughts on your own security system that you'd like to share with us, we'd love to hear about it. That's probably an email thing, but it can also go in a comment or whatever.
Well, if you got like a website and it's like, hey, wonderful D&D security design.
Actually, yeah, if you have your own blog, you could do your own blog post and put a link to us. And
yeah, if you've talked about this before in your blog post, link us. Cross-promote and, help us learn.
So that's enough of the whole,
spiel.
Social media stuff. Do we have final thoughts on security?
I think it should be something that's always considered. It seems, especially in movies, it's a very glaring error. It's just like, okay, we have used up all our time. How is the Son of Dracula going to die? Torch his coffin, and he's there when the sun comes up. Well, what's he doing putting his coffin somewhere where the sun... It doesn't matter. He's just setting things up right now. Mm. And so, it's like, oh, well, you weren't the best, vampire. But you probably deserved a better death than that, because that was like a pretty, rookie mistake, buddy.
Yeah. So get security, and hopefully they're
at least
loyal.
Think about it when you're designing stuff. As a DM, as a player, think about how you're going to set things up. Like in 3rd edition rules, there's nice little rules for traps. Maybe have your own trap chest. Play yourself a little paranoid. Have some fun with it. I'm the rogue. Where's the key to my trap chest? I don't have one. I always have to pick my own locks.
Well, and that's something players will usually invest in some kind of... Actually,
I know spell books, they got some nice stuff on that, but nobody ever really decides to just put a lock in the book itself.
Yeah.
Which is sad.
I think
it's
the default way for characters is usually like a bag of holding or a portable hole, so that it's on their person, so that's their locker they always have available to them. But it's not.
Wouldn't that be nice? It's just a portable locker sort of thing, where it's just like a small, they have that Darren's Instant Fortress back from 2nd edition. Yeah. So you just throw down a little cube and up pops, like a little row of lockers where you keep all your different weapons.
Like in the YMCA, that kind of
locker?
Yeah.
It's just, there's a row of lockers, and I've got them each labeled, because, I got a nice little chalk marker for that sort of thing. Okay, blunt, edged, serrated, ranged. Here we go. Open that up.
Or I like the thought that, you buy an access, a tiny little portable hole or something from the bank, and you stick your hand in with a certain key, so it's actually the extra dimensional space is shared with all kinds of adventurers. You just have to buy a key to your own locker, and you could break through to the next locker if you wanted.
There's some interesting things that could be done with a portal that way. It would have a huge startup cost, probably only for high-level adventurers, but it's
But then you could rent it out to all the low-level adventurers, and it's only 1 gold, and you have access to so many square feet.
Unless I take it with me when I go adventuring, in which case you're SOL.
Well, no, that's each. It's not an item that exists yet, but I suppose you could like I don't know, scissors up the portable hole and give each
that
piece.
That tends to be rather nasty.
I'm saying like use magic or
magic scissors.
Invent an arcane spell that creates such a thing. Yeah, magic scissors. There you go. Enchanted scissors. Anyways,
these scissors are +5 against other magic items.
Then you open the portable hole and you say, okay, which locker was mine again?
Unfortunately, unless you're holding the outer piece of the portable hole, actually rubbing your hand against any of the other edges cuts off anything. It's like a Vorpal edge. Oh, God, there goes another half a finger. Ow, 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 ow. Cleric.
Put a 50% discount because of the Vorpal edge.
Wah! That's something that needs some proper security. It's self-detrimental.
You get a hole. You have a portable hole. You have like one big piece of fabric, because that's how it's described.
Yeah.
It's like a foot or 2 feet in diameter or something like that. And then like the person who fashions like the cutout bits of it, the outside edges are fine. Like they're like you can touch them. But so you can get a piece of the hole that has like most of the edges are fine, but those inside edges, that'll get you. So if you want the really cheap,
you got to hold it by like a pair of tongs sort of thing, just to make sure you're not touching it with your own fingers.
Yeah.
But you do realize what the ultimate outcome of that's going to wind up being, right? Somebody tosses theirs into the water. Everyone gets flooded.
Oh boy.
There you go, folks. That's how it ends.
Well, I've always wondered, like, I guess air circulates in a portable hole, or does it?
Well, you have to force it to circulate. A pair of bellows, and you could really get, like, smoke coming out of everywhere, clean air, and then just like, hey, it's an extra gold on my, a week charge as I give you free, clean air the entire time.
What happens if you pump the air out, like, with a suction, like, or a vacuum?
Oh, the other end of like, the bellows sort of thing going on there?
Yeah.
In that case, the air flows, in for all the other ones there.
Okay.
It's like, I thought we were going to have at least 10 minutes of oxygen after the last of these doors sealed shut. Why am I falling unconscious halfway through? Oh no, airflow into the hole. Why did you keep the hole open? You've killed us all.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's a nice end for a group of adventurers. Bad security. They had a backdoor leak.
Backdoor leak through the portable hole. Well, and that's probably a good end for the podcast, too.
The total party wipe there. That's not bad for me.
Okay, thanks for listening, everybody. My name has been Josh Treleaven.
I'm Ryan. Take care out there.
See you next week.